And today, we're tackling a really interesting one, the guinea fowl. Definitely not your average backyard bird. They're loud, they're watchful, maybe a little bit absurd, but homesteaders seem increasingly interested in them.
Yeah, they really are. So our mission today is pretty clear. Cut through the noise, literally, and figure out what you really need to know about these spotted weirdos. Are the benefits, like pest control, worth the hassle? Are they right for you?
Okay, so first things first. What exactly is a guinea fowl? They originally come from sub-Saharan Africa. The ones you usually see domesticated are the helmeted guinea fowl.
Right, the ones with that bony sort of helmet thing on their head.
Exactly, the casque. And the most common look is the pearl variety, that dark feathering with all the white polka dots.
But the key thing, the absolute most important distinction right off the bat, is that they aren't chickens at all.
Not even close, really. They're game birds. Think pheasants, turkeys. That's their family. And that means they've held on to a lot more of their wild instincts.
So more alert.
Way more alert, super self-sufficient, and they can actually fly pretty well, unlike most chickens. That wildness, it underpins everything else we're going to talk about.
Okay, let's talk payoff then. Why would anyone put up with a potentially difficult, wildish bird? The sources all seem to scream pest control.
Oh, absolutely. That's number one. They are insect-eating machines.
What kind of insects are we talking about?
Well, the usual suspects, grasshoppers, Japanese beetles, flies, mosquitoes, they'll even go after small snakes sometimes. But the headliner is always ticks.
Ticks, right. Big deal in many areas with Lyme disease.
Huge deal. Some studies suggest they can make a serious dent in the tick population on your property. That's a massive health benefit right there.
Okay, but what about my garden? My chickens turn my beds into a wasteland searching for bugs. Are guineas just as destructive?
See, that's where they're really different. It's fascinating, actually. Guineas forage gently. They tend to walk around and just pluck insects off leaves or the ground.
No scratching.
Very little scratching, not like chickens who excavate everything. So yeah, you can often let guineas roam near or even in garden areas. They'll mostly just eat the pests and leave the plants.
Wow, okay. That alone is a pretty big selling point. Benefit number 2 seems to be their role as watchdogs. Or watchbirds, I guess.
Watchbirds, yeah. They're maybe the most alert poultry you could possibly own. Hyper aware of their surroundings, very territorial. Anything out of the ordinary sets them off.
Like what? Predators.
Predators, definitely. A strange car pulling up. Even, like one source hilariously put it, a leaf falling in a slightly suspicious way. They will announce it loudly.
Which brings us to the noise. Is it a useful alarm or just a constant racket?
Yes, it's both. You get an incredibly effective early warning system, way better than chickens. But the price is noise. A lot of noise. It's loud, it's distinctive, and it's frequent. You just have to accept that.
Okay, noise accepted for now. Let's talk personality. The term mob mentality comes up a lot.
It's so accurate. They are the definition of flock birds. They do everything together, move, eat, sound the alarm, roost. It's like a single organism sometimes, a real hive mind. Break up the group, and they get stressed. Safety in numbers.
And this is where the bravery comes in. They'll actually confront predators.
They will. They'll gang up on hawks, foxes, dogs sometimes. Things chickens would just scatter from. They're curious. They're bold.
But is it smart bravery?
Huh. Well, that's the flip side. Boldness doesn't always equal brains. They can be remarkably unwise. They're famous for fighting their own reflections, or standing out in a downpour looking confused instead of getting under cover.
So survivors, but maybe not strategic geniuses.
Something like that. They get by, but sometimes it feels like sheer chaotic energy, not clever planning.
And we have to circle back to the sound one more time. It's just that important. That 2-syllable call people say sounds like buckwheat or maybe a rusty gate.
Yep, that's the one. Or variations of it. It's their main communication, and they communicate a lot.
So, seriously, if the thought of constant, loud bird chatter triggered by anything and everything drives you crazy, guineas are probably not for you. Full stop.
Absolutely. But if you hear that and think, okay, I can deal with that for top-tier pest control and security, then let's talk logistics. And the first big rule, start with keets. Baby guineas.
Not adults. Why not?
Because you have to get them to imprint on your property. Remember that wildness and flight ability. If you bring in adult guineas raised somewhere else, they'll likely just fly off and never come back. They need to bond with your place when they're young and dependent.
Okay, so keet care. Similar to chicks, I assume. Heat lamps, starter feed.
Generally, yes. But keets are a bit more delicate, especially with temperature. They need it warmer initially, around 95 degrees Fahrenheit the first week. Then you gradually decrease it.
And flock size.
Yeah.
Since they have that mob mentality.
Right, you need a decent group. at least 4 to 6, bare minimum. But honestly, the sources really recommend starting with more, maybe 10 or 12. Attrition rates can be higher with keets than chicks. They're just a bit wilder, more prone to accidents or getting lost initially.
So anticipate some losses and start with a bigger group to ensure you end up with a viable flock. Makes sense.
Now, here's a major management challenge that really highlights that wild instinct versus domestication conflict. Roosting.
Where they sleep at night.
Exactly. Their natural instinct, honed over millennia in Africa, is to fly up high into trees to sleep. It keeps them safe from ground predators there.
But here, roosting in a tree makes them owl snacks, right?
Precisely. In most modern settings, trees make them incredibly vulnerable to aerial predators, like owls and hawks. What was a survival strategy becomes a death trap.
So the owner's job is to fight that instinct.
It's the critical training task. You have to train them, essentially force them, to see the coop as their safe nighttime place. This means confinement when they're young.
Locking them up. For how long?
For several weeks, usually. Keep the keets in the coop and maybe a small attached run until they firmly see it as home base. Then, it's all about routine.
Like calling them in?
Yep. Every single evening around dusk, call them back to the coop, reward them heavily scratched grains, mealworms, something they really love once they're inside, then shut the door securely. It takes patience and consistency, but it's vital.
Okay, so we've trained them where to sleep. What about feeding them? You said they're self-sufficient?
They are amazing foragers. They'll cover several acres easily, eating insects, weed seeds, greens. That's the bulk of their diet, especially in warmer months. It definitely cuts down on feed costs.
But you still need to feed them something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You need a supplement, especially in winter, when bugs and plants are scarce, or if there's deep snow. A good quality game bird feed or an all-flock feed works well.
And grit, like chickens need.
Definitely. They need that grit in their gizzard to grind up tough insect exoskeletons and hard seeds. So make sure that's available.
Let's talk eggs. Guinea eggs, I hear they're pretty good.
They are. They're smaller than chicken eggs, maybe 2/3 the size. But the yolks are often richer and the shells are incredibly thick and strong.
Thick shells sound like a plus.
They are, actually. Makes them great for things like baking. And they seem to store a bit longer. But getting those eggs is the tricky part. It can be a real headache.
Why is that?
Well, first, they're seasonal layers, mostly just spring and summer. And second, they absolutely refuse to use the nice, clean nest boxes you put in the coop.
So where do they lay?
Somewhere out in the weeds, under a bush, in a hidden spot they think is safe. And it's usually a communal nest. All the hens might use the same spot.
Meaning you stumble upon a nest with like 30 eggs in it.
Exactly. And you have no idea how old any of them are. Are they fresh? Are they 2 weeks old? Who knows?
That makes collecting for breakfast difficult.
Very difficult. So you have a choice. You can try to find these hidden nests and collect daily, which is a chore. Or you can let them sit on a clutch. Guinea hens are actually good mothers, very dedicated.
But the nests aren't always in safe spots, right?
Often not. They might pick a spot prone to flooding or easily found by predators. Keet survival rates in the wild, or even just hatched out in the field, can be pretty low. So it's either hunt for eggs daily or risk losing most of the potential babies.
Okay, another management challenge. What about telling males from females? I hear they look identical.
They pretty much do. Same feathers, same helmet, same size. Visual sexing is super unreliable. You really have to wait until they mature a bit, several months old, and start making their distinct calls.
Ah, the sounds again.
The sounds are key. The female makes that classic 2-syllable call we talked about, the buckwheat. Buckwheat. The male only makes a 1-syllable sound, more like a chirp or a quick screech.
So you listen for the buckwheat to identify the girls.
That's the most reliable way, yes.
And the ratio matters, right? You don't want too many males.
Definitely not. Too many males leads to fighting amongst themselves, and they can harass the females. The general recommendation is about 1 male for every 4 or 5 hens. That keeps the peace reasonably well.
Okay. What about mixing them with other animals? Can they live with chickens, goats, a farm dog?
They can live with chickens, but
Yeah.
they can be kind of bossy. They're very active, very loud, and can sometimes bully more timid chickens. It depends on the personalities involved.
And bigger livestock.
They usually ignore things like cows or goats entirely. In fact, those animals benefit from the guineas eating ticks and flies around them.
The dog question seems important, though.
Very. Guard dogs, or even just family dogs, need careful training. Some breeds especially have a high prey drive, and they might see a noisy, fast-moving guinea as fair game. You have to teach the dog rigorously that the guineas are part of the farm family, not lunch.
Right. So let's be brutally honest now about the downsides. We keep mentioning the noise.
It's the #1 complaint, absolutely. And there's no real fix for it. You either tolerate it or you don't get guineas.
What else? Their tendency to wander.
Huge issue. That multi-acre range means they will explore neighboring properties. You need to have good relationships with your neighbors, or tolerant ones at least. And related to wandering is the road danger.
Ah, yes, the not afraid of cars problem.
It's sadly true. They seem oblivious.
Yeah.
And worse, they love dust bathing. Where do they often find nice, dusty spots?
Oh, no, in the middle of a dirt road, or even the shoulder of a paved one.
Exactly. So if your property borders a road, especially a busy one, you have to be prepared for losses.
Mm.
Vehicle accidents are a very common cause of death for guineas. It's a major liability.
That's a tough one. Anything else?
Just their general sort of self-inflicted chaos sometimes, because they can fly and because they sometimes panic as a group, they can injure themselves, flying into fences, windows, even each other during a sudden flush.
Doesn't sound like a bird for the faint of heart.
Definitely not. Requires patience.
Okay, let's synthesize this. Who are guineas really right for? What's the ideal guinea owner profile?
Ideal owner has decent amount of land, several acres preferably, a significant pest problem, especially ticks or grasshoppers that they want natural control for, a high tolerance for noise, maybe even finds it charmingly alert, and crucially, the patience and willingness to do that initial training and manage their quirks.
And who should absolutely steer clear?
Anyone in a suburban setting with close neighbors, anyone who values peace and quiet above all else, someone looking for easy, reliable egg production like you get from chickens, and definitely anyone whose property is right on a busy road.
The bottom line seems to be, think of them as working birds, not pets. They're semi-wild, independent, loud, skilled at their job, but require specific management.
Perfectly put. Appreciate them for what they are, unique, effective, and yes, a little absurd.
Yeah.
Don't expect them to be feathered dogs or easy chickens.
And we learned that managing them successfully hinges on understanding that wildness, especially the roosting instinct, that intense training to make them use a coop, feels central.
It really is. You're constantly working against a very deep-seated natural behavior for their own safety in our environment.
Which brings us to a final thought to chew on. We invest significant effort, confinement, routine, rewards specifically to train guineas against their ancient evolutionary instinct to roost high in trees, simply because that instinct is dangerous in the modern world we've created around them.
Right, we've forced them into coops for their safety, but also for our convenience and ability to manage them.
So, if maximizing the benefit of their amazing natural skills, that incredible pest hunting, that alertness requires us to constantly battle millennia of instinct, what does that really say about the balance we strike between domestication and utility? Are we truly optimizing their nature or just forcing it into a box that suits us, potentially even stressing them in the process? Something to ponder the next time you hear that loud, insistent buckwheat alarm going off.